Why do the hardest workers often have the emptiest pockets? Why does the person breaking their back still end up begging for scraps, while those who barely sweat walk away with the spoils? It's a question most people are too afraid to ask, because deep down, we've all felt it. That sting of working yourself to the bone only to watch someone else get the reward. It's enough to make you wonder, was everything you were taught about work and virtue a lie? Here's the truth. No one's going to save you. Because the story you've been fed, work hard, be good, and you'll be rewarded. It's just that. A story. A story meant to keep you small, obedient, and too exhausted to ever question who's really pulling the strings. But this isn't about giving up. This is about seeing the game for what it is, and finally learning how to win it on your own terms. In this video, we're going to tear down the illusions that keep you stuck in endless grind. We'll expose why the system doesn't reward your sweat, it feeds on it, and we'll explore how you can stop being a pawn in someone else's game. Nietzsche called it out centuries ago: the morality of the slaves keeps you docile, waiting for permission that never comes. But there's another way, a way to build your own code, to create your own rules, to become the master of your own story. Are you ready to break free? You know the story they tell us since we're kids, right? Work hard, be loyal, and someday you'll have everything you want. That's the script. And it's comforting until you realize it's just that, a script. Picture the office worker who arrives early and stays late. He misses dinners, birthdays, and even the moments that matter most. Yet the guy who charms the boss, plays the politics, and bends the rules ends up in the corner office. It's a brutal truth. In this game, effort doesn't always equal reward. The myth of hard work is everywhere. It's etched into your parents' advice, your teachers' pep talks, the motivational posters on the office wall. But let's be real. If hard work alone made you rich, wouldn't the janitor earn more than the CEO? Nietzsche called this the spiritual slavery of moral labor. It's not about muscles aching or minds drained. It's about the soul itself being chained to a system that doesn't care how hard you try. Because here's the thing. The system was never built to reward moral effort. It was built to reward control. Imagine a factory line. One worker sweats to keep the machine running, fixing jammed parts and wiping oil from his face. Another stands in the shadows, watching, calculating, controlling the flow of materials. Who's more powerful? The one who breaks his back, or the one who decides how much everyone else works? The system values control, not sacrifice. It's why managers pull the strings and workers stay stuck in place. It's why you're told to hustle harder, even when your exhaustion screams that something's wrong. Because the myth of hard work is convenient. It keeps you in line. You see this in boardrooms, where endless hours in the cubicle don't guarantee you a fair share. Or in family-run businesses, where you're expected to work yourself to the bone just to prove your loyalty. Everywhere you look, the pattern repeats. The hardest workers get the scraps, while those who control the flow of resources thrive. But it's not just about money. It's about dignity, the belief that if you're moral, if you're good, you'll be protected. That's the lie. Because goodness doesn't matter in a system that rewards manipulation. Think about your own life. How many times have you pushed yourself beyond what's healthy just to please someone else? How many times have you believed that your suffering was a sign of your worth? We've all been there, trapped in that loop, convinced that if we just keep going, someone will notice. But let's be honest, the world doesn't notice. The world notices power. And if you're too busy chasing approval, you'll never have the time or energy to build your own. This is why the myth is so powerful. It preys on your hope. It says, keep working, your day will come. But the system was never designed to let that day arrive. Because if you're working hard enough to break your back, you're probably too tired to break the system. Nietzsche saw it clearly. Moral labor is a prison. It keeps you docile, keeps you from asking the question that matters most. Who really benefits from your obedience? Look around your workplace, your community, even your family. Who's pulling the strings? Who decides what's rewarded and what's punished? Once you see that, you can't unsee it. And that's the first step toward freedom. Not more hustle, not more sacrifice, but clarity. The clarity to see that the game is rigged and that you need to play a different game. But how did this lie take root so deeply? How did we come to worship hard work as a moral good, even when it's so obviously a trap? The answer lies in a story older than any corporate office or factory floor, a story Nietzsche called the morality of the slaves. Let's dig deeper. If the myth of hard work is the chain, this next idea is the lock that keeps it tight. Nietzsche saw a split in how humans understand virtue, a split that decides who rises and who stays stuck. On one side is the morality of the masters, built on ambition, courage, and an unapologetic hunger to mold the world. It's the fire that says, I want more, and I'll create it. On the other side is the morality of the slaves, born out of fear and survival. It whispers, keep your head down, stay small, play it safe. Here's the kicker. The slave morality is disguised as decency. It sounds like virtue, but it's really a strategy for survival, good for staying alive when you have no power. Yet most of us outgrow those conditions and still carry the chains. You see it in the employee who never questions orders. He lives by the book, hoping good behavior will keep him safe, or the friend who always agrees, afraid that saying no means he'll be abandoned. They're stuck in that old song. Be humble, be quiet, and wait your turn. But the master morality is a different music altogether. It's not about waiting. It's about acting, without shame, without waiting for applause. It's the quiet strength of someone who knows their value and doesn't need to prove it to anyone. This split morality explains why the hardest workers are often the ones overlooked, because they're playing by rules that weren't designed to reward them. The rules of the slaves were meant to protect them when they had no power, but they don't win the game. They just keep you from losing. The master morality doesn't apologize for wanting more. It doesn't see ambition as arrogance, it sees it as a birthright. When you're stuck in slave morality, ambition feels dangerous, like you're betraying everything you were taught. But maybe what you were taught was just a cage. So let's get real. How many times have you felt that ache in your gut when you wanted to say no but said yes instead? How many times have you swallowed your own voice to keep someone else comfortable? That's the slave morality, whispering in your ear. Don't stand out. Don't challenge the order. But here's the truth, it's not about being cruel or ruthless. It's about reclaiming your authority. Because if you never challenge the script you were handed, you'll live someone else's story forever. Nietzsche didn't want people to be monsters. He wanted them to be free. Free to shape their own code, not blindly accept what's handed down. That's what the master morality is. It's not about domination, it's about self-direction. Imagine a craftsman who stops taking orders from the factory and starts building his own designs. He's still working, but now he's working for himself. That's the difference. That's the shift. So, what would that look like in your life? It's refusing to take on work that doesn't align with your vision. It's saying no to relationships that drain you. It's realizing that your morality isn't a law, it's a choice. When you start to see morality this way, the guilt begins to fade. You stop apologizing for wanting more, and you start asking the questions that the slave morality doesn't want you to ask. Whose rules am I really following? Who benefits from me playing small? Because that's the final trap of slave morality. It makes you believe that your suffering is noble, that your sacrifice is proof of your worth. But if your suffering isn't building the life you want, it's just another leash. And that's why so many people never break out of it. They don't realize that the morality they've inherited is the very thing that's keeping them stuck. So take a breath and ask yourself, who decides what's moral in your world? Are you living by someone else's script, or are you finally writing your own? Because when you see how deep this morality runs, you'll know it's not enough to work harder. You'll have to let go of the old script entirely. And that's when the real disillusionment begins, when you realize the rules you thought would save you were just a way to keep you in line. But that moment of disillusionment isn't the end. It's the beginning. Because once you see the trap, you can't go back. You either stay obedient or you start building a new code, one that's yours. And that leads us to the edge of something bigger. A moment where everything you believed in starts to crack. A moment that can shatter your illusions or show you the door to real freedom. There comes a moment, maybe it's late at night when you're staring at the ceiling, feeling that gnawing sense of something missing. Or maybe it's in the middle of a meeting when you realize you're nodding along but your mind is screaming, "What am I even doing here?" That's the crack in the illusion, the beginning of the disillusionment. It's a terrifying moment, because it forces you to see that the system doesn't reward your effort or your goodness. It rewards leverage, strategy, and the ability to bend the rules. And if you've spent your whole life thinking that obedience was enough, that's a hard pill to swallow. It's like pulling back a curtain and finding an empty stage. Everything you thought was real, merit, loyalty, fairness, starts to feel like a set piece, and you're left standing there, wondering what's true anymore. But here's the thing. This disillusionment is a gift, because it's the first step out of the cage. It's the moment you stop waiting for someone else to hand you your worth. Nietzsche didn't see this moment as a tragedy. He saw it as a birth. The birth of a new kind of person. Not someone who abandons morality, but someone who forges their own. Not someone who pleads for approval, but someone who decides for themselves what matters. So what does that look like? It's the worker who stops volunteering for overtime that doesn't serve them, who starts asking, well, why am I here? It's the friend who stops tolerating relationships that drain their spirit. It's the parent who says, I'll show my kids not to be slaves to other people's dreams. It's messy, it's not easy, because once you stop believing the myth, you can't go back to that comforting lie. You have to build something new, even if it scares you. And there's fear, of course, fear of letting people down, fear of losing the approval you've spent years chasing, fear that if you stop working so damn hard for everyone else, you'll have nothing left. But here's the truth. You're not here to be a martyr. You're not here to live for someone else's comfort. You're here to create, to shape, to leave something behind that's yours. That's the difference between sleepwalking through life and truly living. And once you taste that freedom, you can't unlearn it. You see how the system feeds on your guilt, how it sells you a story that your worth depends on your suffering. And you decide once and for all that you're done paying that price. You start to see that power isn't about crushing others. It's about having the courage to say no when everything around you says yes. It's about leaving a table where your hunger isn't fed. It's about knowing that your energy is your currency, and you get to choose how you spend it. And that's the awakening. It's the quiet, defiant knowledge that you can't be manipulated if you refuse to play by their rules. It's the recognition that you don't have to be cruel to be powerful. You just have to stop giving your power away. So what comes next? It's not about burning everything down. It's about stepping into your own authority, about deciding day by day to live by your own code. You'll stumble. You'll doubt. You'll wonder if you're crazy for wanting more, but that's the test, because only a few ever make it past that point. Only a few are willing to live without the comfort of being told what to do. So here's the question that haunts you at night. Are you willing to trade that comfort for freedom? Are you ready to be seen for who you really are, not who they want you to be? Because that's what Nietzsche meant by liberation. Not the freedom to hurt others, but the freedom to stop hurting yourself for them. The freedom to stand in your own light. And that's what brings us to the edge of something bigger. Because if you're willing to face that fear, if you're ready to stop being a servant and start becoming a creator, there's a path forward. A path to becoming more than a worker, more than a pawn, a path to becoming the architect of your own destiny. But that path isn't safe, it's not comfortable. And it's definitely not what you were taught. It's the path of the Übermensch, the one who writes his own story. Here's where the story flips. The moment you stop looking for a savior outside yourself and realize the only person who can save you is you. Nietzsche called this the path of the Übermensch, the one who refuses to be a slave, who doesn't just follow rules, but creates his own. It's not about becoming ruthless or heartless. It's about taking responsibility for your own story. No more waiting for someone to hand you a blueprint. No more sacrificing your soul for a paycheck or a pat on the head. Picture it. The worker who stops being the most obedient in the room and starts asking what he really wants. The friend who stops saying yes to everything and starts saying no to the things that drain him. The artist who doesn't care if the world applauds because he's creating for himself, not for their approval. This is what it means to walk the path of the Übermensch. It's not about dominance, it's about self-mastery. It's about realizing that if you're not living by your own code, you're living by someone else's. It's a shift that starts small. You begin to notice how your energy is spent, How much of it goes to pleasing others, to propping up systems that don't serve you? And you start to take it back, one boundary, one choice at a time. Because the truth is, hard work without power is just exhaustion, and strategy without soul is just manipulation. But when you combine power with your own values, you become unstoppable. That's why this path isn't about abandoning morality, it's about reinventing it. Like a compass you craft with your own hands, a compass that doesn't point to someone else's north, but to your own. You see, most people never do this. They stay stuck in the comfort of obedience, telling themselves that's enough. But obedience is cheap. It doesn't build legacies. It builds cages. So what does this new path look like in real life? It's not dramatic. It's in the quiet decisions. Turning down a job that pays well but robs your soul. Walking away from a friendship that thrives on your silence. Taking a risk that terrifies you because it's aligned with what you believe. It's about holding power, not to control others, but to create something real, something that reflects who you are, not who you're supposed to be. Because here's the final truth. No one's coming to rescue you. No boss, but no partner, no family name. If you don't own your story, someone else will write it for you. And when you see that, really see it, it stops being a burden. It becomes a calling, a chance to build something that outlasts the illusions you were handed. Nietzsche wasn't telling you to become a monster. He was telling you to stop being a puppet. To let go of the script of should and start asking, what do I want to build with this one life I've been given? So here's my question to you. Will you keep working like a servant for a master who doesn't exist? Or will you become the master of your own fate? Because the choice is always yours, and the power you're looking for, it's already in your hands if you're willing to claim it. So, what did we uncover? That the myth of hard work is just that, a myth. A comforting illusion designed to keep you grinding, always just one step away from real freedom. We saw how the morality of the slaves holds you down, while the masters quietly rewrite the rules. We talked about the moment of disillusionment, when you realize that the system doesn't reward your sacrifice. It rewards power, strategy, and the courage to walk away from someone else's game. And we explored the path of the Übermensch, not a path of cruelty, but of self-mastery, of saying no to what drains you and yes to what builds you, of writing your own rules instead of living by someone else's. But here's the thing. None of this matters if you don't act. If you don't choose to take back your energy, your time, your vision. The world will keep telling you to work harder. But that's not the answer. The real answer is to work smarter, on your own terms, to create a life that's yours. So here's my question for you. Will you keep breaking your back for a system that doesn't care about your sweat? Or will you step out of the myth and start building something real? If this resonated with you, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss the next step. Like the video to keep this message alive. And comment below with, I'm breaking free, if you're ready to join others who are rewriting the rules of their lives. Because at the end of the day, this isn't just about Nietzsche or philosophy. It's about you, your choice, your story. And the truth is, only you can decide if you're going to keep living in someone else's shadow, or finally become the architect of your own freedom. Thanks for watching.